Today is a big day for Auburn recruiting in a multitude of ways.
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the book, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off, and you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie Five.
Yes, sir. We're back. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Rush, a.k.a. Charlie Five, and we are ready to get after it. Happy Tuesday. Today is a big day for Auburn recruiting in a multitude of ways, as you have a possible commitment that you can add to the class. You have a prospect announcing today that's very high on your priority list. Things are looking good, trending towards Auburn's direction, and we'll talk about all that. But this is one that's you got to get, and this is one that could signify some deeper issues should you not get him. We'll talk about all that in just a second, but before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to rowback.com. Use coupon code BARN20 to take 20% off your order. Polos, hoodies, pullovers, hats, swim trunks, doesn't matter. They got it all. Pants, shorts. I could keep going. The list keeps going. Save big and look good and feel good as well. Check them out, rowback.com. Use that coupon code BARN20 to take 20% off your order. Show them some love. All right, Adam Balogoun-Ali, the linebacker from Cardinal Newman in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, is scheduled to commit today, when you're listening to this on Tuesday, July 8th. Call him Goon. I'm just going to call him Goon from here on out. So just know when I say Goon, I'm talking about Adam Balogoun-Ali, the linebacker prospect that Auburn's looking at right now. He's scheduled to commit today. He had an original commitment date of Sunday and pushed it back 2 days. Do not know why. Don't think it really matters why. I know typically when you're the favorite for a kid and then they push their commitment back, typically you're concerned. But with it only being 2 days, it could just be something ceremonial. It could just be something, hey, I want to do it here, I want to do it there, couldn't get that venue booked, or there was a scheduling conflict. Doesn't matter. It's only 2 days. And I don't think it really changes anything for Auburn. 6'1", 210 pounds, a little bit of a do-it-all type guy at the school he attends. He is a industry average 3-star linebacker. He's a 4-star on ESPN and Rivals, but when you add them all together with the other sites, he's a 3-star. So I know that's not going to get your blood pumping a ton if you're really into star rankings, but I will tell you this, and I can say this with a ton of confidence, that this is DJ Durkin's top linebacker out of the guys that have even been committed and guys that have come through and visited. This is DJ Durkin's top guy. So regardless of the ranking, this is somebody that Auburn wants really badly, has had a ton of momentum for a long time, especially after he came and officially visited this summer. Watched a little bit of his film. One thing that really jumps off the page is his instincts, his football instincts. He seems like he really studies the playbook. He really understands defensive football. He's not just see ball, hit ball. There's a lot of plays where he's already anticipated the snap count on a blitz and he can get in there really quickly. There's plays where it seems like he knows the offensive play, recognizes it pre-snap, and he jumps routes and picks balls off. He even plays tight end at his school, wide receiver, running back out of the backfield. Does a little bit of it all, and that's kind of what you want to see, especially out of a linebacker. You don't want to – I mean, in the high school level, is if you can play multiple sides of the ball at a high level, you're a pretty good athlete. And I think Auburn would be ecstatic, absolutely ecstatic to get this kid in the class. I kind of mentioned this yesterday, but just adding this kid to the class, you're going to see the ranking go up close to 10 points. Okay, so that's what I meant by you can make up a lot of ground in very few commits. Doesn't take a ton to start jumping back up the rankings. Now, you're still going to be way, way behind where you want to be. But again, you still got some time. And then the conversation that's been had 100 different ways since last Wednesday or Thursday, you have to see how that plays out after August 1st and see which direction Auburn goes. Now, I said this is a big day for Auburn recruiting. And I don't necessarily mean it just because Auburn is expected to get a commit. But it's big from the standpoint that this is somebody that I would call, and I don't mean this in any way knocking the kid or his importance or anything, okay? This is what I would call low-hanging fruit, all right? And what I mean by that, and I talked about this on Locked on Auburn, these are kids you have no reason not to get. You should the schools that have him sort of his finalists, you should be a better destination. You got Kentucky and Missouri. You should be a more desirable destination. You don't have any other linebackers in the class currently competing that may scare him away or whatever. You should be in a, I mean, I know we're talking about the financial situation, but I think Missouri's playing a lot by the same rules that Auburn is. Kentucky, the same way. I know they flipped Denarius Gray. I think that's just a scenario of he's a wide receiver 1 there, and maybe we're looking at him as more of a wide receiver 3 or 4 here. So that kind of just is what it is. That's just some bad luck. But this is a kid you just don't really have an excuse. There's no reason you should miss on this kid. This is low-hanging fruit. Even though he's a really good player, again, the low-hanging fruit has nothing to do with what caliber of player you're getting here. Things have been unstable, though. Things have been a little shaky. So if you land this kid, great, okay? That was low-hanging fruit. We went out there. We got the job done. Now maybe you could take that and go get, a Jacquez Wilkes, a Wilson Zaire. Insert any other person that you would call, quote unquote, low hanging fruit. You kind of start checking off those boxes. But if you don't get this kid, it's a much more massive impact. It's a much more massive red flag in the air to say something is vitally wrong. Something is maybe could be terminally wrong if you don't figure out quickly how to fix it. And I don't want to go super neg on everybody. I know anytime I go somewhat negative when all I'm doing is painting all the different pictures of what could happen, everybody gets mad. And, the comments are, I want to stop listening and stuff like that. And it just sort of is what it is. But I mean, it's a real conversation. Auburn has lost kids they shouldn't have lost so far. This is one you can't lose. I really think Auburn gets Goon today. And I think you can maybe sort of start to get your feet under you. You would have picked up Kentrell White on Friday, who I love. Y'all know how much I love that kid and his potential. Then you pick up Goon on today. And maybe, just maybe, you can start kind of pushing. Maybe that snowball gets a little bit bigger, a little bit more easy to push and get going downhill. Again, I think it's an important day, and I'm not trying to oversell it. I think it's if you want to sort of let me rephrase this a little bit. It can go way worse than it can way better, I guess. Like it can be viewed way worse if this doesn't go through today. If Auburn doesn't get the commitment today, it'll be vastly kind of piling on to all the negativity that you've been hearing. And even if so, just limiting that is huge. Just being able to say, just being able to not have negativity out there is big. So you got to get it done. You got to get it done today. I don't know the announcement time. I do know Auburn feels confident, and he'd be, I guess, he'd be your only linebacker of the class right now. I think Auburn wants to take somewhere maybe 3 total, with Jacquez Wilkes being the other. I'm still not convinced if Auburn can get their NIL in order that Shadarius Tootle can't be back in the fold eventually. So we'll have to see there. But this will be a really good get. So Auburn needs to get him. We're going to talk about the Lane Kiffin stuff. You got to address it. You got to talk about it because it's, I understand it's kind of embarrassing. So we're going to talk about that in just a second. But first, let's take a word from our sponsors. Lane Kiffin. He has some obsession with Hugh Freeze that I don't quite understand. You got things rolling, seemingly at Ole Miss. Sure, you've dropped some of the big ones. You've Lane Kiffined your way out of some of the big ones. That's sort of been, I guess, his MO at Ole Miss. They're able to beat anybody, and then they're able to lose to anybody. I think he's got the program going in a really good direction. They have a really good system in place as far as how they manage the portal, how they manage their roster. They're able to stay incredibly competitive when maybe it's a little bit tougher to recruit to Ole Miss than just insert another SEC school. Definitely harder to recruit to Ole Miss than it is Auburn, which is interesting because they're kind of similar campuses. I know Auburn's got a little bit more tradition, a lot more success on the football field as a program. But hey, you got it going, man. You got it going in the right direction. Auburn is seemingly going in the opposite direction, but he can't not talk about Hugh Freeze. I don't get it. It's not the first time. He seems to love. He seemed to love to try to rub it in Hugh's face that he got Towns. He thought he got Towns Magoo, and then he didn't. So that was an issue back when that whole thing went down. But everybody's blowing this one just miles, just totally freaking out. And I think Auburn fans have started to become more worried about getting owned on Twitter or owned on X or social media than the program actually winning. It's like, hey, just don't embarrass me on social. I'm more mad about you embarrassing me on social media than I am about you going 5-7. It's weird. But yeah, he tweets out. I'm assuming it had to do with J.C. Anderson, the tight end from Illinois, that Auburn really had way up there as far as priority goes. Auburn wanted to take 2, and J.C. Anderson was sort of like the do-it-all. You passed up Xavier Tiller that you probably could have gotten. You passed up Xavier Tiller for J.C. Anderson. Excuse me. And then J.C. Anderson goes to Ole Miss, and he puts out the big fish thing, the fishing thing. And then he goes back and finds a tweet from like May where Coach Freeze pumping out that they won some golf event and retweeted it, just a couple of days ago. Hey, Coach, your golf game's fire right now, or something like that. Basically playing into the whole Hugh Freeze is playing too much golf, and that's why Auburn recruiting is terrible, which is silly. Which is, if you believe that, you have some issues. Now, where I will side with you, though, is Lane Kiffin got the ammo based off of the behavior of the coach, and behavior's the wrong actions. Let's go with actions of Hugh Freeze. You gave him the ammo. That's kind of always been my MO. I want to try to not give you ammo or not give you not make you have to give me the benefit of the doubt on things. That's always been my if you have to give me the benefit of the doubt, then I screwed up. So if we have to if people are having to give you the benefit of the doubt that you played 11 golf rounds in June and it didn't affect recruiting at all, then maybe don't be so public with it, because these are the ramifications. Now you got Paul Feinbaum calling it a travesty. You got fans melting all over the place. All because Lane Kiffin's weird obsession with Hugh Freeze. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like some sort of like inferiority complex because Hugh had the success at Ole Miss before he did. I don't really know. Or people maybe at Ole Miss still maybe talk a little bit about Hugh Freeze. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But he does seem to have a weird obsession with Hugh. And it seems like, at least at this point, punching down. But nobody's ever looked at the actions of Lane Kiffin and thought many of them made a lot of sense anyway, from a rational standpoint. So whatever. Auburn fans are mad about it. Got their butt hurt over it. I would just say get over it. It really doesn't mean anything other than you got quote unquote owned on social media. But whatever. Needed to be, I guess it's the only news right now, so you had to talk about it. So switching gears, let's see if Auburn can pull this off today. Let's see if Auburn can go ahead and close, check off, get this low-hanging fruit, get your commitment in the bag from Goon, a really, really good player, and then sort of get your feet under you. You got 2 commits in 4 or 5 days, and then maybe you can start rolling a little bit. Again, it doesn't take many. It doesn't take many to get Auburn back on the right path, get Auburn back climbing up the rankings. So let's see what happens. Hopefully we're talking about a commitment tomorrow, and we're not talking about another miss. So, guys, let me know what you think in the comments. I really like this kid. I think you need to go watch his huddle. Just type in his name. You're going to have to – that's going to be the toughest part. The toughest part is going to be spelling his name correctly in the search bar. And you know what? Google can suggest things. So I think if you're an Auburn person at all and you just type in Adam and then you go B-A, it populates for me. So hopefully it does that for you as well. It makes it easy to find. But it's a fun film to watch. Really need him in this class. So let's see what happens. Guys, thanks for listening. We'll be back again soon. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. Stay buttoned.
Thanks for listening, and drive home safely.